It's 15:12. I am the true vine. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends. And that's kind of something I want to dive into when I'm done reading. You are my friends if you do what I command you. No longer do I call you servants, for the servant does not know what his master is doing, but I have called you friends, for all that I have heard from my Father I have made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you that you should go and bear fruit, and that your fruit should abide, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, he may give it to you. These things I command you, so that you will love one another. And I think kind of what I wanted to talk about, at least when I read it, I would read like when he says that someone would lay down his life for you, and there's no greater love than this. And I think people kind of look at that from like an egotistical on our end, right? So, oh, I should be such a great friend that I should like lay down my life for somebody. And I really think, to me, I think this is him foretelling his resurrection to them, right? And so he's essentially saying that there will be no greater love than what I'm about to do, but he just didn't come and outright say it. It's really telling, I think. So when he starts talking about overcoming the world, and then before he goes into prayer, he says, I have said these things to you in figures of speech. The hour is coming when I will no longer speak to you. And to me, there's like revelation in this one too, of almost to me what seemed like an unspoken revelation between God and Jesus, between the Father and the Son, about because he keeps talking about when the hour comes, when the hour comes. And so he says, I have said these things to you in figures of speech. The hour is coming when I will no longer speak to you in figures of speech, but will tell you plainly about the Father. In that day, you will ask in my name, and I do not say to you that I will ask the Father on your behalf. For the Father himself loves you because you have loved me and have believed that I came from God. I came from the Father and have come into the world, and now I am leaving the world and going to the Father. His disciples said, now you are speaking plainly and not using figurative speech. Now we know that you know all things and do not need anyone to question you. This is why we believe that you came from God. So they're stating to him why, almost like they're finalizing their faith, right? And I talked last week about the questions, and I'll kind of get into that. But then Jesus answered them, do you now believe? And so I think the tone of that question is important, because it's almost like his tone has changed at this point, right? Now he's asking in a way that he really believes that they believe 100% at this point. Right? And so then they says, behold, the hour is coming. Indeed, it has come, when you will be scattered each to his own home and will leave me alone. Yet I am not alone, for the Father is with me. I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. And from what I read in that context, because then it goes into chapter 17, the high priestly prayer, and the very first sentence out of that is, when Jesus had spoken these words, he lifted up his eyes to heaven. So it's almost like that had to happen. Like he had to have the disciples' full belief before he could continue down his final hour, because he keeps kind of repeating that, the final hour, the final hour. And then if you kind of go down just a little bit more, I have manifested your name to the people whom you gave me out of the world. Yours they were, and you gave them to me. And then it says, and they have kept your word. Now they know that everything that you have given me is from you. So I think it was just really powerful to kind of see that play out. And it's almost like there's like an unspoken covenant between the Father and the Son about when it could start. Right. So when his last hour could begin, and he could carry out what his destiny was and what he was sent here for. It was just, to me, it was like really, really telling of the finality of it all. It doesn't specifically say that, but to me, once he realizes that, and then he lifts his eyes up and basically said, they have kept your word. It was almost like, and I've never heard it put that way, but to me, it was almost like there was just this unspoken, unwritten in the Bible, at least, covenant between what they had to do before Jesus could finish his work.
That was good insight there. I actually,
There's so much in here that I love. I think this might be my favorite one a little bit right now, but I get into it and then it changes. Like
no,
whatever
but
I
you
get
know,
into.
one of the things I really like about that's honestly I actually love, bro, the way you read that, because you I mean, like, you read it not kind of like in the novel sense, but in kind of a like present moment, like critical thinking type. You know what I'm saying? Because you kind of pictured yourself like, how he writing it,
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I think that's like one of those things when we read, really to try to capture, um to really try to capture it as though we like right there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it can be hard to get into that context of because that's kind of how it really hit me when he had asked that question that way. Because, like I said last week, I love how he asked questions, and when I was reading that, it was just such a different tone of how he normally asks questions. It was like almost like he was relieved that they finally were 100% we know now, you know what I mean? To where up until then he would respond almost in a why do you doubt kind of a tone in the context. And then it was like he was relieved that they finally,
They got it.
yeah,